Fuck 'em.
Take me to your leader, bitch. Why they send out a greeter? The fuck are you? I'm from the mothership, bitch. We just landed on this planet, goddammit.
The last chapter in Sabu's autobiography. Have you seen this?
I have not, unfortunately. I've missed that.
Now, before we get going with this, what is your relationship with Sabu, if you have one at all?
Well, I know Sabu. We've been around each other on a limited basis, but over the years, a number of times. The last time I saw him was probably 3 or 4 years ago at WrestleCade over in Winston-Salem. He was set up there and had a booth, and we had a short conversation there. But I know that Sabu is the Sheik's nephew and has been involved in some controversial incidents over the past, but I don't have deep insight into what makes Sabu tick, if that's the question you're asking.
I will say this again, I've said it before, one of my favorite Twitter interactions ever was a few years back. He put something on Twitter that was something that could be read as derogatory towards you. Naturally, you saw this and you replied, paraphrasing here, but hey, Sabu, I didn't know we had a problem. If
That's
we
right.
do,
Okay, well, wait a minute. Now you're reminding me of something. I just remembered this. Go ahead.
He said, I didn't know we had a problem. If we do, let me know. And he replied, Sabu, Sabu, Sabu.
Well, yeah, that's what. See, that's the thing. I will. In the interest of full disclosure, over the past 10 years, he's emailed me a couple of times. And I'm bad with phone calls. I'm bad with emails, too. And I don't answer a lot of them because I get so many of them that at times I blah, blah, blah. But I try to go through and read, and I saw an email from Sabu, and it was, I can't even remember what the email said, but it was like a very long sentence with no punctuation about something I wasn't really sure how it pertained to me to begin with, and then he signed it Sabu, 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 and he every time he sends an email he signs like Sabu, Sabu, Sabu. I don't know. I don't know what's going. But what about his book here? I don't know what happened.
Well, here is the final chapter entitled "FU Shoutouts."
Okay.
Now, to all the insecure, jealous, backstabbing, cocksucking, cheap, no-selling assholes I have come across, I'd like to close with some special fuck you shoutouts that I crafted just for you, a la Sabu Twitter style, complete with extra comments for extra emphasis. 3 commas after that. To Kurt Angle, because I may have to wrestle you again one day, I won't hit you with a stiff fuck you, but maybe something just a little underneath that and more professional. You know, like, you, sir, I could do without. To Test, I would like to send a really big fuck you shout out beyond the grave.
He's dead.
Well, I would like to send a really big fuck you shout out beyond the grave to a bastard who no-sold like an asshole and always tattled like a baby.
Okay.
Did he have a reputation for running to the office?
Well, not that I'm aware. Probably if Sabu wanted him to fucking hold on to a chair while he moonsaulted off the balcony onto his face, I can say Test may have gone to the. I don't know what the incident is that's being referred to here, but I can see where Test and Sabu would be opposite personalities. Test was not one of these guys that instantly adapted to the wrestling business mentally, and Sabu with his uncle and grew up around it his whole life and blah, blah, blah. But I can also see where if there was a clash of styles, the chances are Sabu was the one that was wanting to do the shit that Test wasn't really wanting to do, and I don't blame him.
To Koji Kanemoto and his no-selling bullshit, fuck you and your no-selling bullshit. To Jim Ross, I say fuck you for treating the Sheik like trash and ripping him off. You still owe him money, you cocksucker.
Wait.
Feel free to PayPal me the $150,000 or whatever it is at your earliest convenience, prick. That can't be from 88 NWA, can it?
We talked about this on the show maybe a year or two ago. That he still... $150,000 that he owes the Sheik, and Jim Ross wouldn't poor. All right, should we tell the whole thing again?
Are you thinking that, though? That it's 88 NWA that he's talking about here?
Well, yes, because Jim Ross never had any other interaction with the Sheik, the original Sheik, and another time when Sabu was talking about it, he mentioned Detroit, which is why we were commenting on it to begin with a few years ago. But yeah, there's no, for the record, Jim Ross does not owe the Sheik $150,000. Not even the Iron Sheik, the Sheik, Sabu's uncle, the wild man from Syria. Somehow, it was just like when Doug Gilbert was mad at me and I had to tell him off and encourage him never to fucking speak to me again because he got mad because I wrote the foreword to Howard Brody's book in which right. Howard Brody said shit that Doug for some reason didn't like and was cussing me on the internet about it. I just say, you fucking idiot. Have you ever read a book before? Do you know how they work? You know, just because you have two famous, great, talented family members, you're the fucking redheaded stepchild, doesn't mean you can motherfuck me on the internet for writing a foreword to somebody else's book, and you don't know how that works. In this case, the Sheik was booked to work the Cobo Arena in Detroit for Jim Crockett Promotions in 1988. They had drawn one house in Detroit when Garvin beat Flair for the title at the Joe Louis Arena in previous September of 87. And then business in Detroit had just been the shits. And it was not the town wasn't doing anything. So at the time, Kevin Sullivan, I believe, is one who pitched to Dusty because Kevin had a relationship with the Sheik. Hey, what was the first match? They did a 2-month program. The first match was Dusty and Murdoch against the Sheik and Sullivan, right? And then they did a deal in that match where Murdoch switched heel on him. And they were going to come back the following month with just reversing the partners or whatever. But it didn't come to that. It never came off the second month because point is it was the Great American Bash on tour. I believe it was the summertime of 88, Cobo Arena in Detroit. The Sheik, with major local television promotion from Crockett's local TV and big names on the card, a full card for the first time. The Sheik is going to be back in the Cobo in a strong position like that with major names on a card in almost 10 years. And it did $100,000 at the gate. It did, 80 something 100 people at the ticket prices of the time. And so they immediately, as I said, booked Sheik in the rematch and blah, blah, blah. But then the Sheik got mad because when they paid him, I don't know how much the payoff was. I assume it was fairly generous because everybody knew that the reason why that the people came was to see the Sheik back at the Cobo in that light, because we've been running a lot of shows and not drawing there. But the Sheik thought that because he was the Sheik, he should still get 10% of the house, which they weren't even doing that for the NWA champion at that point in time. Flair wasn't getting 10% of the house. He wanted $10,000 for the one night when the match lasted like 6 minutes, right? So he no-showed the next month because they didn't give him 10% of the house. I heard this story concurrently at the time from not only from Kevin, but from Dusty and everybody else, because we had actually started to do promos where the Sheik was coming back, and I'd seen the booking book at local promos, and then they changed it. And, so anyway, that issue was known at that time. That's why the Sheik didn't come back the next month, and that's where the issue lay. Sabu somehow thinks because Jim Ross was the announcer, and I think he had started selling advertising for Crockett maybe at that point, or selling TV advertising, that somehow Jim Ross was the one who should have paid the Sheik the money. And now it's graduated to, instead of $10,000, he owes him $150,000, which was more than the fucking house drew. And there is no other time when Jim Ross would have had any dealings with the original Sheik. Sheik never worked in WWE or WWF when JR was there in any position, and JR would not owe the money, if that was the case to begin with, it would be Vince McMahon, because even when JR was head of talent relations, you think he had the fucking checkbook and tell Vince, oh, Vince, I'm going to go ahead and give Sheik 150 grand because Sabu's pissed. What? That's lunacy. Jim Ross has never been in position to actually be the one to sign the Sheik's check anywhere. And nobody owes the Sheik $150,000.
Who got more money?
That's crazy.
I got more money. Nah, I got more money. I got more money.